Ang nakikita talaga nila, unang-una nilang tinatanong is ang politika ng Pilipinas. Bakit ang gulo-gulo at parang every now and then may pasabog kumbaga at may event. At tinatanong din nila ako, bakit ganito kagulo ang politika ng Pilipinas domestically speaking? So, ang hirap mag-explain kasi kapag nag-explain ka, kailangan mo i-trace lahat at i-explain kung anong klaseng, political system meron tayo, yung, kind of form of government. Kasi lahat yan, ang kultura, kung may maturity ba ang Pilipinas when you talk about politics. So, iyon ang una nilang tinatanong at bakit hindi lang ang gulo, bakit yung political struggle sa Pilipinas is very prevalent and at the same among politicians. At isa sa mga tinatanong din minsan kapag nasa conference ako and I have kaibigan mong mga international people, ang tinatanong nila lagi is bakit ang corruption sa Pilipinas sobrang massive when in fact hindi kasi ang sinasabi kasi din nila, lahat naman ng bansa to certain extent may level of corruption or may corruption na nangyayari, pero ang pinag-uusapan kasi dyan, yung level of corruption or index. Pero sa Pilipinas, ang nakikita ng ibang mga nationalities kasi, bakit ganun ka-massive ang corruption at bakit napaka-prominente niya? Kasi nababasa din talaga nila yung mga news at saka yung mga nangyayari sa Pilipinas. At yun yung mga questions sa akin. Minsan, or most of the time, ang hirap mag-explain. So, ang tingin sa atin talaga ng ibang mga lahi, parang ang gulo-gulo ng Pilipinas.
Lang muna natin bilang isang geopolitical analyst, pag mga ganito pong may power struggle, lalo na dito sa isang sangay po ng ating gobyerno sa lehislatura, meron pa nga tayong question sa ating ehekutibo. Nandyan pa yung krisis sa gitnang silangan at sariling krisis dito sa Pilipinas at sa usaping korupsyon. Ano po yung typical or karaniwan po na pananaw ng ibang mga bansa sa kagaya po natin na may ganito pong klase na problema?
I think, ang pananaw ng mga tao sa ibang bansa, yung hindi, especially yung ibang nationalities, at saka from an outsider's perspective, especially on my side, kasi wala ako ngayon sa bansa, marami din naman ako nakakausap ng mga ibang nationalities. Ang unang tinatanong nila is, ano bang nangyayari sa Pilipinas? Iyon yung unang-unang question talaga. Kasi una, ang prominente kasi na nababasa at nakikita nila sa news, lalo na kasi ang social media is very prevalent and apparent kahit saan ka pumunta sa mundo. So, kahit anong nangyayari sa Pilipinas, nalalaman niya ng buong mundo, lalo na sa social media kasi alam mo yung Facebook, Twitter, X, and many others. So, ang nakikita talaga nila, unang-una nilang tinatanong is ang politika ng Pilipinas. Bakit ang gulo-gulo at parang every now and then may pasabog kumbaga at may event. At tinatanong din nila ako, bakit ganito kagulo ang politika ng Pilipinas domestically speaking? So, ang hirap mag-explain kasi kapag nag-explain ka, kailangan mo i-trace lahat at i-explain kung anong klaseng, political system meron tayo, yung, kind of form of government. Kasi lahat yan, ang kultura, kung may maturity ba ang Pilipinas when you talk about politics. So, iyon ang una nilang tinatanong at bakit hindi lang ang gulo, bakit yung political struggle sa Pilipinas is very prevalent and at the same among politicians. At isa sa mga tinatanong din minsan kapag nasa conference ako and I have kaibigan mong mga international people, ang tinatanong nila lagi is bakit ang corruption sa Pilipinas sobrang massive when in fact hindi kasi ang sinasabi kasi din nila, lahat naman ng bansa to certain extent may level of corruption or may corruption na nangyayari, pero ang pinag-uusapan kasi dyan, yung level of corruption or index. Pero sa Pilipinas, ang nakikita ng ibang mga nationalities kasi, bakit ganun ka-massive ang corruption at bakit napaka-prominente niya? Kasi nababasa din talaga nila yung mga news at saka yung mga nangyayari sa Pilipinas. At yun yung mga questions sa akin. Minsan, or most of the time, ang hirap mag-explain. So, ang tingin sa atin talaga ng ibang mga lahi, parang ang gulo-gulo ng Pilipinas. At the same time, nakikita din nila na ang economy natin is also struggling. So, hindi maganda ang image natin actually sa international community at meron ka pang, hindi lang yun ang problema ng domestic politics and even the economic struggle na meron ng Pilipinas at the moment under a Marcos Jr. government. Isa pa sa pinaka-prominente na issue is yung foreign policy at lalo na yung mga issues na may kinalaman sa Philippine-China relations at saka may kinalaman halimbawa yung nakalipas na balikatan or exercises, bakit sobrang intensive at ngayon yung mga, like for example, how intensified naman yung militarization ng halimbawa ng United States sa Pilipinas at mayroon ka ng Japan being part, of this so-called alignment. So yun yung mga bagay talaga na prominente at tinatanong ng ibang mga lahi sa akin, especially kapag on travel ako and I'm attending international conferences. At saka ang alam ko, ang tingin nila sa Pilipinas is magulo. Magulo. Yun.
Opo. Ito ba yung weakness din ng form of government din natin po, Prof? Ito ba isa sa mga disadvantage po na resulta po ng ating form of government o talagang wala yan sa forma ng ating gobyerno? Kasi dito, ang daming mga paru-paroji, mga lumilipat na lang kung saan nila gusto. Doon sila, yung mga ganun po, hindi kagaya sa ibang bansa na may paninindigan talaga, no? At may lehitimong check and balance kasi magkaiba yung pananaw. Halimbawa, doon sa Amerika, hati yan sila, no? Dalawa lang talaga yung kanilang partido, no? Sa ibang mga bansa din. Ito ba yung nakikita nyo? Or wala talaga yan sa form of government? Basta corrupt yung mga or trapo or traditional politician, ganyan talagang mangyayari, Prof?
Sa akin kasi dalawang aspeto yan. Coming from, kasi ang background ko rin is aside from being an international relations, one of my academic discipline na talagang pinag-aralan is political science. So coming from a political science perspective, when you talk about political system and the political culture and the political dynamics of a country, I think it's a factor of it's a product of everything. Sa akin kasi una, kapag tinignan mo ang Pilipinas, mayroon ka rin kasing argument na kahit ano pang klase ng sistema meron ka, may it be a parliamentary system of government, a form of government, or what you call a presidential form na meron tayo ngayon, kung ang political culture ng Pilipinas talaga at saka yung klase ng mga politicians na mayroon tayo, ganyan, na most of them are corrupt, and you have what you call political dynasties in the country, and which is very prevalent at saka dahil dyan nagkakaroon ka ng nepotism and so many other issues. So, ang political culture mo, kapag ganyan, kahit anong klaseng form of government ang meron ka, ang isang bansa ay magiging problematic pa rin when you talk about political instability or pagkakaroon ng magandang politika or good governance sa isang bansa. So, that is a very important factor. So, ibig kong lang sabihin is, ang isang bansa, ang pinaka-importante kasi is yung political culture mo at saka yung values and maturity ng klase ng leadership at saka ng mga politicians mo na nasa loob ng bansa. It just so happen na ang Pilipinas talaga may problema when you talk about leadership and when you talk about the kind of leaders, quote-unquote, and politicians we have. We have that kind of vacuum. On the other hand, if you ask me if a presidential form of government is good and or what is best for the Philippines is a parliamentary, sa akin, to be very honest, sa akin kasi, when you talk about check and balance in government, ang presidential form naman kasi, given the system that we have right now, meron naman tayong tinatawag na check and balance. Kaya nga may tinatawag kang 3 co-equal branches of government, legislative, executive, and judiciary. Pero sa tradisyon ng politika meron ng Pilipinas at ang practice natin ngayon, yung klase ng co-equal branch of government, yung klase ng, hindi yan kasi in real politic, in real situation in the Philippines, blurry kasi yan. Kasi look at the current administration of BBM or even the previous administration. Ang presidente mo, supposedly, ang kanyang area of concern lang is the executive. But in our in our system and in the way we operate as a country, politically speaking, ang nangyayari, even the president has control over the House and even to certain extent of the Senate, when in fact, dapat co-equal branches of government yan at hindi dapat magkakaroon ng clout. But, you know, in a way, mayroong ganon kasi ang ating mga politicians, kung sino ang nasa taas, you know, lahat yan mag-aalyansa doon. So, nabiblur din ang check and balance mo. On the other hand, when you talk about the judiciary, ang judicial system mo, ang appointing officer kasi dyan is actually the president. To a certain extent, may check, in theory, may check and balance, pero when one person i-appoint mo, tapos may utang na loob ka dun sa presidente na nag-appoint mo, in some ways, nabiblur din ang tinatawag mong check and balance. Kasi supposedly, kapag in theory, kapag co-equal branches of government, independent yan dapat. At dapat, they function accordingly na walang magkakaroon ka ng check and balance na talagang totoo. Pero in real life kasi, and real politics, that is not happening in the context of the Philippines given a presidential system of government. At isa pang problema dyan kasi, in a presidential form of government na mayroon tayo right now, is halimbawa, you have a president na hindi okay, hindi siya okay talaga, like, alam mo yung ang daming nangyaring hindi maganda, bumabagsak ang ekonomiya mo and all, hindi mo siya pwedeng palitan kaagad-agad. Kasi like for example in the Philippines, you need to have 6 years, that president has to stay 6 years in office. Dalawa lang kasi ang pwede mong gawin dyan, extra constitutional na measure to remove a president, and that is a people power, which is very difficult to mount on, to have. And another one is impeachment. But if the president controls the House at to certain extent the Senate, in terms of numbers, hindi yun man nangyayari. But in theory, dapat, pwede yun. Kasi supposedly, independent nga ang legislative mo. So, these are the, how do you call this, this is the realities of the Philippines. So, sa akin, if you ask me, kung ano yung tingin ko, I would, for me, ang mas gusto ko is a parliamentary form of government. Kasi bakit? Because the parliament is just one, it's one, and then if there is a crisis in governance, you can actually change the prime minister anytime and you can just have a vote of confidence and then you come up with a new government again. Mas madali kasi ang accountability mechanism at pagpapalit ng leader sa isang parliamentary system. Well, as you can see in other countries, like for example, UK, and then you have a president as a ceremonial. But at the moment, to be frank, I don't really recommend a change of constitution or a change of form of government precisely because there's a danger that those people in power right now may want to perpetuate or they really want to be perpetuated themselves in power. So, mahirap ang ganong klaseng change of government at this very moment. Kasi babaguhin mo ang constitution mo at the same time, if you really look at the current politics that we have in the country, ang House and even some members of the Senate are actually allied by the administration or by BBM. So, in a way, kapag nagpalit ka ngayon, BBM would still be the prime minister. O, ganun talaga. So, and he can actually, ang danger lang doon, he can actually perpetuate himself in power as long as he controls the parliament. So, medyo mahirap din yun. So, sa akin, sa tanong mo, it's a combination of everything. If the political culture, the kind of the political system, and also the maturity of the Filipino people. As I can see and observe, coming from a very political science na perspective, ang mga Pilipino din kasi hindi pa siya mature. Kasi ang maturity not everyone, but many I think are mature, but many are immature politically speaking. Precisely, alam nyo kung saan mo makikita ito, dun sa klase ng mga politicians na binoboto at inuupo mo sa posisyon. It's like a cycle. But I understand, of course, na mahirap ang ganitong sitwasyon. Ang problema ng Pilipinas politically deeply rooted. And for me, to be very frank, if I'm a fairy, I would rather have a reset of the whole system so that we can start fresh. But of course, it's not easy to do that. So,
Opo.
may ganito kang problema. So, it's not necessarily all about the political system. It has something to do with many other factors, including the political culture, the mindset, the maturity, and of our context and also the Filipino people na alam mo yon, dapat mag-mature din tayo. At lalo na when you talk about electing leaders in very critical position like the president, or if we have a change of government, maybe a prime minister. Pero at this time, uulitin ko I'm not advocating for a change of constitution precisely because I'm afraid that many politicians who are now in power would want to stay in power more than necessary, or hindi na natin mapapalitan yung mga yan. May danger on that. So yun yung tingin ko in a very short explanation, kasi this is a very complex issue na kailangan ng isang 2 hours lecture or 3 hours lecture.
Opo.
At least the political science course.